first question. Can you please speak to the authenticity in the wardrobe selected on screen, and how did you use certain elements to convey each character's journey, particularly Molly's, throughout the film?
So, of course, the level of authenticity was set by Martin Scorsese, who has an extremely high bar for all of his movies. And so, with the people that he gathered around him through all of the set and the cinematographer, but the brilliant costume designer, Jacqueline West. And so, when I came in the first day to Jacqueline's studio, she had thousands of photographs that basically had come from our Osage Tribal Museum, which is one of the oldest tribally owned museums in the nation. And she had them organized in a way where I could tell that she was portraying each one of those family members uh, off of original photos into where they were in their life at that time in 1920. And so that silhouette of Molly's has not changed for over 150 years. We wear that silhouette today in our traditional clothing. So when I really sat down and started discussing with her what the options were for each one of the sisters and for Lizzie Q, we really started working with, like, for instance, you see those silver, they're called Wabanka pins. And so those silver pins, if you had on 3, you were single. If you had on 2, you were married. And if you had on 1, you're a grandmother. And so we kind of see where Molly was in her life. And there were these little nuances to how the blankets and the shawls and everything would be folded on each one of the characters, depending on the life event that's happening. And that includes, like, Chief Bonnie Castle, played by Yancey Redcorn, and the Roadman, who's played by, or the Holy Man, who's played by Tolly Redcorn. And so each one of those are showing their status of where they are. So the chief is wearing his blanket long. And the roadman, who is Tolly Redcorn, has it around his waist because he's using his hands as to give blessing. And then for Molly, it depended on whether she was going to have a meeting with her guardian. So she's going to wear something that is really with the Osage blanket that I put on her, and the stripes go up and down. They're very detailed about how you do it. But she's wearing that as more of a power suit. And she's going in to talk business with someone. And typically still to this day, if we're going to go into the White House or anywhere else as a delegation, we may wear a blanket in there. But we're really telling you we're coming in to do business with you. And then, if she's taking care of Lizzie Q as a caretaker, I have a shawl that's appropriate for, and really all of this is worn for humility and modesty. And so I would wrap it in a way that was utility for her to be able to use her hands, and really would sit down with her, because it was always closed rehearsal, and every morning ask her how she was using her hands. I understood what the script said, but what her actions were going to be. And depending on what the actions were, I would fold the blankets, which there's 6 different ways to do that, or the shawl, so that she would be able to work well in it and make sure that she was comfortable. And, I have to say, every day she walked out of that trailer and just crushed it on set. So.
Great. Is there a specific wardrobe piece that didn't make the film that you were hoping would?
No, as a matter of fact, I would have to say that everything that you see really is represented of Osage artisans, Osage tradition, Osage culture. There's really not a missing piece between the finger weaving and the silver pieces and the military coat for the wedding, and the hats with the brightly colored hackles, the blankets, which Pendleton ran 500 of those for us in the exact stripe of the 1920s with the 1920s color palette. And then all of the ribbon work and the ribbon work blankets that you see, along with the beading on broadcloth. There isn't one thing in embroidery. There wasn't one thing that was left behind.
Can you talk a bit about your ancestry? Did you recommend anything from your family history to be incorporated into the film?
I actually loaned a blanket to Lily for one of her black and white photos that Jackie put in the photo of the tintype. But I did have some photographs, but we really were working within a 1920s. So anything that people were showing us, we really had to be, really careful about the fact that it was from that time period.
And lastly, what do you hope audiences walk away with after gaining additional historical context into the Osage people and all that, they endured and survived?
There's a scene that I don't want to give away, but I think it is a gorgeous representation of how we are still here. My Wajaji people, we are all still here. And we overcame all of those obstacles and, this life being forced on us and this horrible time during the Osage Reign of Terror in the 1920s. And that we still survive today with our traditions, with our clothing, with our dances, with our relationships and our families, and we are thriving.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.